When Billy Graham passed away in 2018, millions around the world mourned the loss of one of the most famous Christian preachers in history. But shortly after his death, his children discovered something unexpected in his study in North Carolina. Hidden inside drawers and cabinets were private journals and writings that revealed the inner struggles of the man many people believed had unshakable faith. These writings exposed moments of doubt, personal regrets, and surprising truths about his life, including his complicated relationship with Richard Nixon and the private battles he rarely shared publicly. Billy Graham was born on November 7, 1918, just before the end of World War I. He grew up on a large dairy farm near Charlotte, where his parents ran a 300-acre property with more than 70 cows. Life on the farm was full of hard work and discipline. Every morning young Billy woke up before sunrise to milk cows and help with chores, then repeated the routine again after school. Those early years shaped his strong work ethic. As a teenager, however, he seemed like any ordinary boy, interested in baseball, friends, and girls rather than religion. Everything changed in 1934 when a traveling preacher named Mordecai Ham held a revival meeting in Charlotte. Billy was reluctant to attend at first, especially after being rejected by a local youth group for being too worldly. But a farmhand encouraged him to go. During one of the revival nights, Billy felt deeply moved by the message. He later said he could barely remember the sermon itself, but something inside him felt as if it was speaking directly to his heart. That night he walked to the front of the church and committed his life to Christ, a decision that would eventually lead him to preach to millions across the world. His journey toward ministry was not smooth. At 18 he enrolled at Bob Jones University but struggled with the strict environment and nearly dropped out after just one semester. Later he transferred to the Florida Bible Institute, where he found encouragement and began practicing sermons, even preaching to birds, trees, and alligators near a river. One evening in 1938, while walking alone on a golf course, he knelt down in the grass and prayed, promising God that he would dedicate his life to preaching. The following year, at just 20 years old, he became a minister in the Southern Baptist Convention. Graham's influence began to grow during and after World War II. In 1944, he delivered a major sermon for the youth movement Youth for Christ in Chicago, drawing thousands of listeners. Over the next several years he traveled across the United States, Canada, and Europe speaking at rallies that mixed energetic music, testimonies, and powerful sermons. These events attracted huge crowds, sometimes reaching tens of thousands of people. The real turning point came in 1949 during the famous Los Angeles Crusade. The meetings began under a massive circus tent known as the Canvas Cathedral. At first attendance was small, but after several well-known public figures publicly committed their lives to Christ, the media began paying attention. Newspaper magnate William Randolph Hearst reportedly told his editors to puff Graham, meaning they should promote him heavily. Suddenly, the young preacher became a national sensation. What was planned as a 3-week event lasted 8 weeks, attracting hundreds of thousands of attendees. In 1950, Graham established the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association to organize his rapidly growing ministry. One of its first projects was a radio broadcast called Hour of Decision, which soon reached millions of listeners around the world. Over the decades, his ministry expanded globally, hosting massive crusades in countries across Europe, Africa, Asia, and the Americas. In 1995, he even used satellite technology to broadcast a sermon to 185 countries in more than 100 languages at the same time. Despite his enormous success, Graham privately wrestled with doubts about the Bible during the late 1940s, partly influenced by conversations with his friend Charles Templeton. Struggling with these questions, he retreated to a quiet Christian center in the mountains of California. One evening he placed his Bible on a tree stump and prayed, telling God that although he did not understand everything, he would choose to trust the Bible by faith. That moment became a turning point that strengthened his confidence and shaped the powerful preaching style that would define the rest of his life. Over the decades, Billy Graham would preach to more than 215 million people in person across 185 countries, with millions more watching on television and listening on radio. His simple message of faith, hope, and redemption made him one of the most influential religious figures of the 20th century. Yet behind the public image of unwavering faith was a man who experienced doubts, mistakes, and difficult choices, reminding many that even the most famous spiritual leaders struggle with the same questions faced by ordinary people.